In this Go Byte, we're going to have a look at methods and receivers. Now, up until this point, we've been writing a few standalone functions, and methods are similar except with one important difference, and that is they are defined with a receiver, and this tells Go which type they belong to. So some of the use cases and benefits of being able to do this are you can add behavior to your own custom types, you can group related functions around a single type, and you can improve readability by keeping data and actions together. And that also just improves cohesiveness because the functions that you create work on the data which is defined with that type. Okay, let's have an example which will bring this to life. So I'm going to define a new type which will be called user. This will be a struct, and we'll have a couple of fields on here. We'll have first name and last name, and both of those are strings. So this user struct will become the receiver, and what we will do is we'll create functions which work or belong to this receiver, and those functions will be now referred to as methods. So how do we do that? Well, we use the func keyword like before, but this time we have an extra set of parentheses which goes before the name of the function, and this is where we define the receiver. So here I'm going to give the receiver a variable name of u, but I'm going to say that the type is user. So this now becomes a method on the user. Now we can give this a name, so I'll just say full name, and what this is going to do is just concatenate first name and last name. So quite simplistic, but should give you an understanding of how receivers and methods work. So we'll say full name, parentheses, this is going to return a string which will be the concatenated first name and last name. So have a look at the signature here. You'll see that it's different to the previous functions which we've created because we now have this extra parentheses which has come before the name of the function. Previously, our functions looked like this. When we create methods, when we use receivers, they look like this. But what this means is we now have access to this user to use inside of this function. So I can do something like this, return u first name plus empty space and then u last name. Okay, so let's go and use this. Down in main, let's initialize a user. So user, short declaration syntax, user, and we'll say first name will be Alice, last name will be Smith, and then what I want to do is call this method on the receiver, on this user receiver. The way we do that is with dot syntax like so. So I can say user full name, and in fact what we'll do is we shall print that out. So I'm just going to drop that inside of there. Let's think about what we expect to see here. So we've created a user with a first name of Alice and a last name of Smith, then we are calling full name on that user receiver. Inside of there, because we have access to that user receiver, we can say first name plus empty space plus last name, and of course we are returning this. So when we print this out, we should see Alice Smith. Let's run this. Okay, and that is what we see. Okay, let's now try and cement that knowledge with a small challenge. So here's what I'd like you to have a go at. Create a struct type called rectangle with two integer fields. They will be width and height, and then add a method called area. So this is a method on the rectangle receiver. A method called area that returns the area as an integer. And then in main, just do what I did there, initialize a rectangle and then call the area method on it. I'm pretty sure you can do this. Pause me now and give that a go. Okay, so we want a type. This will be rectangle. That's going to be the name of the type. Again, this is going to be a struct. And then we're going to have height. This will be an integer. and then we're going to have width, which will also be an integer, and then we want a method for the rectangle receiver. So func, and the parentheses, we'll just give this a variable name of r, and this will be a rectangle type. The name of the method is going to be area. Don't need any parameters, but what we want to do is return an integer. How do we calculate the area of a rectangle? Fairly straightforward. So we're going to return the width multiplied by the height. So look how we're grabbing the width and height. We are grabbing them off of the rectangle variable. In the same way as what we did with the first name and last name with the user receiver previously. Okay, and so what we want to do here is initialize a rectangle. So I'm going to say rect, which will be a rectangle. We'll have a height, and we'll just say 10. We'll have a width, and we'll just say 5. And then I'm going to print out, we shall call rectangle area. Like I say, don't need to pass any parameters. It is already getting the information it needs from the actual rectangle receiver itself, because when we initialized it with height and width fields. And that is what the area method uses in order to calculate the area. Okay, so 10 multiplied by 5, I'm expecting to see 50 get printed here. Let's run this. And indeed we do get 50. How did you get on with that one? Hope you gave it a go. Tried to avoid mentioning other languages up to this point because I like to stay focused on Go, but some students may have come from other languages where you use things like classes and objects, which also have methods. So I guess this is the closest thing that Go has to that kind of thing. Hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you give it a like, make sure you subscribed, and if you want to know more about my Go content, including my Build Your First Go app course, which uses a lot of receivers and methods, then you can check out all the information in the description underneath this video.